Councillors, I'd like to call this Town of Lincoln Council meeting of July 25th, 2018 to order. And take note that this is the last council meeting before the recess, which begins as soon as we walk out of here tonight. Okay. Would you please rise for the national anthem? Thank you, councillors. For the sake of protocol, I'll acknowledge each of you for the roll call. On my far left, Councillor Regima, Councillor Diane Regima, Councillor John Pachariva, Councillor Wayne McMillan. To my right, Councillor Rob Foster, Councillor and Deputy Mayor Dave Thompson, and Councillor Tony Brunet. This evening, Councillor McPherson and Councillor Timmers are absent. Councillors, are there any declarations of interest? There being none, do any members have changes to the order of business as published? I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet and seconded by Councillor Thompson that the minutes of the July 16th, 2018 regular meeting of Council be adopted. Are there any errors or omissions? Your pleasure on the motion? The motion is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Councillors, I see that I also have a list of staff in attendance. On my left is Michael Kirkopoulos, the Chief Administrative Officer. To my right, Julie Kirklos, the Town Clerk, and also Trish Zarnicki, the Deputy Clerk, is in the gallery. Andrea Chambers, the Executive Assistant to the Mayor and CAO, is in attendance this evening. Terry Truola, the Associate Director of Finance and the Financial Analyst. Greg Hudson, Fire Chief. Tamara Clark, Fire Prevention Officer. Matt Bruder, Associate Director of Planning and Development, Dave Graham, Director of Public Works, Shannon McKay, the Acting Director of Community Services, and Dave Graham, I mentioned Dave, so I think everybody is here. All right, very good. We've completed our obligations there. Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't have much of a mayor's message this evening. I think our presentation event prior to the meeting was certainly something that I was looking forward to completing before the end of this term of council. And this is, as I mentioned before, the last council meeting in this term of office and prior to the end of nominations, which is at 2 p.m. on Friday the 27th. I hope that everybody that's eligible to vote, and strongly encourage your friends and neighbors to vote. It's been rather an interesting up and down with no action in wards and then all kinds of action, so that's a good sign. And this is the first time that we in Niagara will be voting for the regional chair. This is an important change in governance in Niagara. Local municipalities are closest to the community, and your voice and participation is very important to democracy in Lincoln and Niagara. And I hope to see you at the polls on October 22nd. A few weeks ago, Community Services staff announced a change to summer programming that would include free and open time at the Fleming Center Arena. This included the addition of basketball nets and a portable but very substantial skateboard setup. There are also 2 pickleball courts for seniors, and they are attracting over 40 seniors every event. I want to acknowledge how quickly staff were able to respond to the needs of youth with time on their hands. In addition to the summer camps, when you come for your daily walk on the track, you'll see that arena being used more than ever. An important and costly asset are arenas. Pools and parks are well equipped for you and for your families to enjoy them. You may recall that August the 11th, the Beamsville Lions organized the first ever Lincoln Soapbox Derby, and I'm very pleased that Isaac was able to come in with his mom on short notice. But I've included this in my message so that it's recorded with the minutes. Remember that you live in Lincoln, a place to grow, a place to prosper, a place to belong, where everyone tries to be a good neighbor and every child is encouraged to do their very best and to be their very best. On behalf of council, I will say to you, we are very proud to have served you in this term between 2014 and 2018, and wherever the next months take us, we'll see who's here on December 1st. Thank you very much. The regional councillor is not present this evening, but I will say that within the last 2 weeks that the Prudham's secondary plan was approved by the region, which is a very significant accomplishment for our community. Are there any members of council who have items to report this evening? I think I need some water. Nothing? This group is completely talked out. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me, Councillor McMillan. Did you have something that you wanted to say?
Yes.
My apologies.
A few days ago, we spent a couple of hours in the Bucknell Barn in Camden. Everything and anything you ever wanted to know about swing beam barns. We sat for 2 hours and learned all those marvelous things. And the Bucknell Barn in Camden is a good example of a swing beam barn. And our Heritage Committee, way back in 2006, had the foresight to have that barn declared as a heritage site. So it was a very interesting afternoon for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thompson will have a few words about that. Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Certainly, it was a very enlightening afternoon. I knew absolutely nothing about barns, and actually the interesting part for me I found was the inscribing that they had done in the barns with regards to all sorts of things, from who was matching with who, and fertility for the crops and for the whole family and all that sort of stuff. So it was absolutely fabulous, and I just wanted to thank the Bucknells for hosting it. Certainly it was and the corn was fantastic. I just can't imagine you'd use a steam tractor to steam corn, and by far best corn I've had in an awful long time. So I wanted to thank them very much. It was a great afternoon.
It was a great afternoon, and in our community, like so many rural communities, you're lucky when those kind of events come along because they are few and far between. It was truly a rural moment, no question about it. So if you want to know what a swing barn is, just ask us, we know. Thank you very much. Councillor Njima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't able to attend, but I understand there was a tour of the Phase 1 Conkle Creek revitalization project, and I saw some pictures, and I was really impressed with what I saw in the pictures. So I want to thank staff for organizing that tour, and I was really surprised at all the plantings that I saw in the pictures. So I intend to go down there and have another look myself. It's really nice.
Great. I think Councillor Brunet, you were there as well. Do you have anything that you want to say about that?
Just very quickly, Mayor. Yeah, it was a great tour. I think the project is well ahead of schedule. There was 30,000 cubic meters of material that have been removed out of there. That's 3,000 dump trucks. So it's a big undertaking, but the project is going along swimmingly, way ahead of schedule, and we haven't had too many complaints from residents, considering all the hot weather we've had and the dust that accumulates with moving dirt. But hats off to the Public Works team for guiding that project.
Thank you very much. Certainly the scale of it was something that I couldn't really have imagined. It was, and the natural features that they just continue to work into the grand plan as things turn up. It's pretty impressive, and it's going to be another one of those projects for Lincoln that is really going to, it's going to have us stand out from other communities. But I reminded one of the neighbors who wasn't very happy with it that this really was a piece of infrastructure. This was not a park, not a frivolous expense, but a very, very significant piece of infrastructure. So that's great. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much. Councillors, this evening we have one delegation, and I'd like to ask Mr. Henry Timmers of Enbridge and Mr. Gary Laframboise, the Fire Marshal's Public Safety Council, here tonight to make a presentation to Council. Fire Chief Hudson and Fire Prevention Officer Tamara Clark, if you would come forward as well to assist with the grant presentation. Mr. Laframboise, you may have a few words that you would like to say first.
Yes, I do. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Easton and Fire Chief Hudson. I'm very pleased here tonight to be representing the Fire Marshal's Fire Safety Council and Project Assist. Since the launch of Project Assist in 2012, Enbridge has contributed $700,000 in funding to this unique campaign. Each year, 20 fire departments receive $5,000 to purchase resources to supplement firefighter training in their departments. Regular training is an important part of being prepared for any emergency situation, and Project Assist contributes to that overall firefighter health and safety by improving access to training materials. I'd like to thank Enbridge Gas Distribution for its long-term support and commitment to this important initiative. I would also like to congratulate Fire Chief Hudson and the Lincoln Fire Rescue and Emergency Services for being selected to take part in this beneficial program. Thank you for your time tonight and for demonstrating your commitment to making this province a safer place to live.
Mr. Chimmers, do you have any words that you would like to bring to us?
As Gary mentioned, there's 20 municipalities throughout Ontario that have been selected. I have the honor to represent Enbridge Gas in 4 of those, including the one this evening. The importance of this program is beneficial to everyone. It truly fits our model at Enbridge, the safe distribution of natural gas. And it, hand in hand with that is the safe, supporting the people who respond to any type of emergency, within our distribution area. This is also near and dear to me. I'm a volunteer firefighter in a nearby municipality, so I was able actually to present to my municipality as well. So I understand the importance of training and being supportive for training and getting material for training. So this is very near and dear to my heart. I think that's why Enbridge selected me to do these. I should have worn my fire uniform, obviously. They wouldn't let me. I wanted to, but they said it was.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chimmers.
How do you want to do this?
Stand on that side. Get down the Lincoln.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. You can always use $5,000, right, Chief?
Absolutely.
Madam Clerk, if you would just take a picture of Mr.
Oh, another picture? Very nice presentation. Very nice and all past concepts. Really nice. Sorry, it was late.
Now, councillors, I have a motion. I have a motion moved by Councillor Thompson and seconded by Councillor Brunet that the delegation be received. Are there any questions? I think if there's any, they left very quickly, but I think that Chief Hudson, I'm just going to ask you to give just a bit of a background, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Mayor Easton. I have to, actually she's left now, but I'd just like to recognize Fire Prevention Officer Tamara Clark for submitting our name this year for this award, and it is a very important contribution to our operation. It's very timely too, in that we just received the annual report, and in order for us to make the accomplishments we did last year, it's important that we train our people well, and this kind of situation, this kind of an award is certainly beneficial to that. So we certainly thank the Fire Marshal's Public Safety Council and Enbridge Gas for that.
Thank you very much, Chief. Pleasure on the motion, councillors. The motion is carried. We have one report from Committee of the Whole Business Planning, minutes of July 23rd, 2018. Councillor Foster, would you provide highlights, please?
Yes, I'm just going to give a quick summary of the meeting, which was held on July 23rd, this past Monday. It was a special Committee of the Whole meeting. And the first thing that we had was a review of the 2017 financial statements from Scott Plugers from KPMG. Then we dealt with 8 reports through the evening, 4 regarding the fire department in some form or another. So the first was the report to adopt Niagara West Emergency Management Program. The second was the Fire Master Plan Progress Report. Third was our 2017 Fire Department Annual Report. And then we had a memorandum of understanding that has been signed concerning Niagara CBNRE Incident Response Team. The Treasurer was able to give us the 2017 year-end Treasurer's Report. We had a good discussion on the small-scale agri-food tax incentives for farmers program that's coming up in the future. The Joint Niagara Compliance Audit Committee and updated terms of reference. And finally, we dealt with Main Street Revitalization Initiative Funding Agreement. The committee wrapped up at 9:15. Any other details around this are on the website at www.lincoln.ca. Thank you.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Foster and seconded by Councillor Thompson that the minutes of the July 23rd, 2018 Committee of the Whole Business Planning meeting be adopted. Pleasure on the motion. The motion is carried. Madam Clerk, we have no confirmation of compliance with Section 34 of the Planning Act. We have 2 bylaws this evening. I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Benjima, that leave be given to introduce the following bylaws. Bylaw 2018-65 to establish an emergency management program for the town of Lincoln, and Bylaw 2018-66 to authorize the town of Lincoln to enter into an agreement in order to participate in Ontario's Main Streets Revitalization Initiative. With pleasure on the motion, councillors. The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor McMillan and seconded by Councillor Pachariva that bylaws number 2018-65 and 2018-66 read a first time be now read a second and third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. With pleasure on the motion. The motion is carried. Thank you. Are there any councillor inquiries? Are there any notices of motion? Are there any announcements? Thank you. We have a closed session item scheduled for this evening. I have a motion moved by Councillor Pachariva, seconded by Councillor Njima, that committee adjourned to closed session in order to address a matter pertaining to advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. Pleasure on the motion. The motion is carried. We'll be meeting in the Beamsville room. Thank you.